to The Writer's Dream. This is a show where authors can talk about their books, how they wrote them, how they published them, and how they market them. Please visit us on Facebook and on YouTube, where you can search for us under The Writer's Dream. Ask us questions, make comments. We'll try to get back to you and answer your questions. Today's guest is Vincent Casale, and he has written a book called The Paparazzi.
Right.
Tell us about yourself, Vincent.
Well, I'm a retired New York City policeman. I was 20 years in service from 1984 to 2004. Basically, for 17 of those years, I did patrol duties. And for 3 years, I was fortunate enough to get myself assigned to the NYPD movie and TV unit, which is Hollywood on the Hudson, basically.
The NYPD movie and TV unit.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, it was quite exciting. And so I'm I'm from Queens.
Me too.
Are you really?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can listen to you and it's like music to my ears.
Oh, you can hear the accent, the
yeah,
Queens accent.
Yeah,
yes,
I hear my own accent too.
Do you?
Sure.
Yeah. So when I found out that I was assigned, of course, like anything else in any business, you had to know somebody to get assigned to such special details.
I bet.
And it took me 3 years to get assigned there, and when I finally did get the call, it was a pretty exciting day. You know, I was basically over the moon because I've been in love with movies ever since I was a kid. So
you're like the character on NCIS, right? Who loves movies and is always quoting movies? The really young, handsome guy?
I actually don't watch that show.
Oh, you should.
I think my daughter watches it, but I do quote movies, and if I may say, I'm pretty good at trivia when it comes to movies and television. I don't know about today's world, but with the older movies from the 70s, 80s, 40s.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably, they're the ones that made the biggest impressions on us, I guess, when we were younger.
Yes.
So tell us about give us some examples of some celebrities who you've come in contact with.
Well, some of the celebrities that I've come in contact with are still pretty big today, obviously.
Whoops, it's okay. Yeah.
Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, very big. Bruce Willis, who's coming out with a new movie now. Cindy Crawford, who is still modeling and still looks gorgeous. And you know, there's been a number of them that are still around today.
All right, what's it like? You're working for this unit, this movie TV unit. What's a typical day like?
A typical day is well, you get your assignment the previous day, and a typical day is you take your own car to the set. Usually, most of the movies are filmed in Manhattan, and Brooklyn is a close second. And you arrive at the set. You have your coffee. And you basically help there's a lot of the union workers who park the trucks and the electricians. So you keep the streets clear so that they're able to park their trucks and their personal cars. And basically you're protecting the set, so to speak, so that nobody enters and causes any trouble. And then as they start filming, you know, you're on the outskirts and you're directing the traffic. And you're enjoying watching the filming of a movie.
Well, now, I worked in Central Park as a volunteer for a few years, and I would notice that when I was coming to work in the morning, there would be all of these vans parked on Central Park West, and I knew at the time that more than likely, none of the vans were labeled, more than likely they were shooting something from Law and Order. It's Law and Order has a lot of shots in the park.
Has a lot of shooting in Manhattan from day one when they started the series up until now,
and it's over 20 years now. Law and Order.
Yes, at least I believe their first street shooting began in it has to be 89 or so, 90.
It's before then, I think.
Yeah, is it? Well, that's when I entered the unit in '89. They had just begun. And the stars were George Zunder and Chris North of
Chris
Sex
Nolan,
and the City fame. Yeah.
And Sam Waterston. Sam Waterston maybe came later.
Yeah, no, it was Michael Moriarty. That was the first attorney.
Okay.
Before Sam Waterston,
Yeah. So, what's in all those trucks?
Well, the actual trucks have all the equipment. The staging of the sets, the equipment, the electronics, the lighting. The campers are where the stars are sequestered. So there's
sequestered. That's a good word.
Yeah, they're sequestered because when they're not filming, they're in there. And it's like a regular travel trailer. You know, but the trucks are mostly generally for the equipment and the set designs and all of that. Yeah.
And even when they film in the daytime, they use artificial lighting, don't they?
Yes, they do. Yeah. When they film in the daytime, they use artificial lighting, and to block the sun, they have what are called flags. So if you ever seen filming on New York City, they're the big black flags, so to speak. They're on
like
a stand.
Banners.
They're like banners, and they block some of the daytime light so they can get a clearer picture of the actors on their point.
Okay, so Chris North and company come into Central Park, and it's a crime scene. Somebody's been mugged and murdered in Central Park, okay? And all they do is come into Central Park, they check out the crime scene. It's possibly a minute and a half on the show. How long does it take them to shoot that?
Well, it can take up to a few hours, because depending on the director, they do take after take after take. They do view shots, point of view shots. Okay. So they'll have the camera on Chris North, let's say, and then they'll have to stop. It's not a continuous thing. So they'll cut, and then they'll have a camera on this side shooting the point of view of the other actor. So it takes quite a while.
So when we see the show, we're actually seeing a number of different takes, so to speak.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Pieces of tape that they've recorded, and then the editor puts it all together.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Because you were telling me about a commercial that you saw.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone...
You have to tell this story, because I think it's very funny.
I'm sure everyone in New York has seen the famous Eyewitness News van commercials. Right. And, there goes that Eyewitness News van. And in this one particular commercial, it was a hot dog stand with an actor, and his job was to just say, there goes that Eyewitness News van. I was the police officer assigned to keep backing up the Eyewitness News van after it went past the hot dog stand, and so that it wouldn't get hit and back up traffic along Columbus Circle. And we did that take 56 times.
Oh my God!
Just for there goes that Eyewitness News van. Yeah. And that's how many times I backed up the van. And then they had the catering inside the Channel 7 news building, and it was a whole day of shooting for a 30-second spot.
Wow.
Yeah.
If it was 30 seconds.
If it was even 30 seconds,
right. Amazing. Yeah. That's amazing.
And their whole day is laborious, to say. There's hours upon hours. Like you said, you could watch a scene on television, and it could have taken a full day to film a small scene. Yeah.
Well, when I worked in the park, a number of times I came across where they were, you couldn't go down this particular path or road in the park because they were doing a shoot. And that's actually, I probably would have met you sometime.
You probably would have. And as much as people love the movies, it's a very inconvenient thing for the pedestrians of New York. They get very irate if they have to stand on a sidewalk and wait for someone to finish filming a scene.
Sure, and the traffic is even worse. I mean, look at how many shots they have from the Brooklyn Bridge or from any one of the bridges where they have to stop traffic to do it.
Yes, absolutely. There are nights with big shoots, like adventurous shoots, like Hudson Hawk with Bruce Willis and
I remember that.
I think Danny Aiello was in that. They had to close off. It was late at night, but New York is still heavy with traffic any time of the day, and they had to close off one side of the bridge. Yeah, right. So it's
it's a city that never sleeps.
Yeah.
Were you ever able to speak to any of these celebrities?
Not often, but I've had some interesting interactions. We were on The Bronx Tale with Robert De Niro was the director and star of that. And he, you know, when a celebrity approached you, it was almost like you couldn't believe it. You're kind of starstruck, and you're like, are they walking towards me? And Robert De Niro came over to us and patted us on the back and said, I want you guys to make sure you always wear your bulletproof vests. And we, you know, I thought that was
nice,
very nice. And another night during Bonfires of the Vanities, and we were shooting like 4 o'clock in the morning at Rockefeller Center, and there was no one on the street. And Bruce Willis walked out of his trailer, and he walked towards me, and I literally like looked over my shoulder because I thought he was walking towards one of the crew.
Sure.
And he came over and he put out his hand and said, "Officer, how are you tonight? If you need anything, let us know." And so moments like that are nice because you get some actors that will just walk past you. They could see you 100 times and they won't even nod to you. So it's nice when the actor does approach you. It makes you feel like they know you're there.
Sure. Now, of all of the films that you saw being shot, what was your favorite one when it showed up in the movie theater?
My favorite film of all time is The Godfather. So when I heard that they were shooting The Godfather 3, I was dying to get assigned to that set. And what they did was it's like a seniority thing. So for the first couple of weeks, the older policemen were getting assigned to the old St. Patrick's Cathedral, Little Italy, where they were filming all these scenes. And then finally, I got the call to work one morning on Elizabeth Street in Little Italy. I was so excited and so full of anxiety. It was very early in the morning, like 5 o'clock, and I was speeding, basically, in my car.
Oh, no.
I just went over the bridge. I couldn't wait to get there. And it was the feast scene where they're shooting and whatnot. And Coppola had set up the street to look like an actual feast in 1978. So he had all the storefronts with that time of period. And that movie was exciting for me to be around because as an Italian and being around all the Italian-American actors, it was quite a thing for me.
Yeah, there's still a magic to Little Italy.
There is.
I go there on
I was
occasion.
just at the recent San Gennaro feast selling some books, and
Great.
But it's different. But
yeah, well, it's smaller.
Yeah, they put the restaurant things out into the street now, so it's
kind of fun.
Yeah,
it's kind of fun. Were you involved with any of the shooting of Moonstruck?
No, that was before.
That's my absolute.
Is it really?
Ultimate favorite movie.
Is it really?
Yeah, I was for 20 years. My name was San Angelo.
Was it really?
Yeah, I was married to an Italian gentleman.
Okay.
And I was involved with their wonderful Italian family, and so I became sort of Italian. You know, when at the end scene when the mother, played by Olympia Dukakis, drops the sugar cube in the champagne.
Right.
I cry every time. I cry every
Did you
time.
really?
Yes, because that's what we did on holidays. Drop the sugar cube into the Asti Spumante.
Wow.
So,
see, I don't even recall, not the scene, but my family doing that.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of Italian festive feast type things in the house.
But I love that movie because it just brings back so many memories of that family that I was really very close to.
Yeah.
So I want to read a little piece of your book here. Okay, it says, and then we're going to talk about how you wrote it and all the technical stuff. Now I want to go back to the time when Ghost was taken on the ghetto. In the film, there is a scene in which Patrick Swayze fights with a foe. In the finished product, Swayze is seen punching it out with his nemesis, his punches going right through the enemy because, well, he's a ghost. Of course, as they film the fight scene, Swayze is actually battling nobody. He's just punching harmlessly through thin air, for the camera's effect. Folks in depressed neighborhoods are just as enthusiastic about the movie experience. So on this night, instead of being bothered by the weather, many of them braved the evening chill and eagerly convened on the set to watch the making of a motion picture. This was back in the late 1980s when crime was high, but the neighborhood was peaceful on this ghostly evening. For whatever reason, the residents of Bed-Stuy took to calling Patrick Swayze by the descriptive name of Patrick Swingy. I'm certain it was a coincidence that Mr. Swayze was indeed swinging. So as Swayze was doing his scene, swinging at the air and attempting to maintain his method, a cheer arose from the crowd of onlookers, and their laughter echoed through the set. That's very nice.
Yes, that actually, when you hear your own writing, it's kind of embarrassing, but that did sound pretty good.
No, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So tell me about how you compiled this book. Let's talk about the technical getting this book together.
Well, I always wanted to be a writer or an actor. That's why this unit was like a niche for me. And what I did was, that nobody knew of at the time, I would take little notes in a journal. What happened that day, who I saw that day, if there was interaction, if maybe something interesting happening with them as interaction. And originally I was going to make a coffee table book with just little snippets underneath saying, well, today I saw Al Pacino and here he is from The Godfather 3. But as I incorporated my own celebrity obsession, I thought it would make a more enjoyable read. And so I took all these memories and snippets together, and over the course of the years, I'd write a paragraph here, a paragraph there, and then finally I turned it into a book. And like one of those, if I may, one of those quick, interesting snippets, rather than saying I had worked at an old school on 92nd Street, Al Pacino had gotten out of a cab. And his bodyguard, Lou, was an ex-policeman. And we were just standing there, and all of a sudden, Pacino takes off as if he's chasing someone. I mean, really takes off. And then we found out that he actually ran after the cab driver to the next light because he promised the cab driver an autograph and forgot to give it to him. You know, so those little things I wrote or I remembered. So it was a combination of both. And like I said, I always wanted to be a writer, and I thought a memoir that would be universal, a universal subject, would be something more interesting.
I saw him interviewed, and supposedly he gives very few interviews because he doesn't like to be interviewed. And he came across as so genuine and like a really decent human being.
Yeah.
Which I thought to myself, you know, Al, you should do more of those. But, you know, speaking of what your original idea was, a coffee table book, you could still do that. You could get, you know, frames from the actual motion pictures, you know, particular frozen frames, and then put your stories with them. You don't have to do all of them, but that might make a very nice book. And, you know, there's so many people who just absolutely love the movies. And certainly here in New York, I don't know where you sell your books, but I'm sure there are many venues in Manhattan where a book like this, talking about the movie industry in Manhattan. In fact, I have an idea for you. There's the Museum of the Moving Image in Queens.
That's
in
Astoria. Astoria Studios, yes.
Yeah, they have a gift shop. Why don't you?
Yeah, you know, well, as you well know, you're an independent author. It's extremely difficult to get your name out there. As positive as it is for writers to feel the joy of getting a book published in the venues that they have, it's still a difficult part of writing is to be an independent author.
Writing the book's a joy.
Writing the book,
to the rest of it.
It's the editing and rewriting that is so.
So, what was your greatest challenge in getting
My
this?
greatest challenge was the editing, the rewriting, and then ultimately the re-editing, because I had to get someone to re-edit the book, because with your own eyes, you don't see the mistakes. And the marketing, again, when you're a self-published author or an independent author, the marketing is so daunting and so hard, and contrary to belief, it could be very costly. And so and it's those are very difficult things when you're not a traditional publisher, because you're doing everything on your own, including writing the book. So you're not just handing it off.
Now, when you put the book together, did you organize it time-wise? Is it chronological?
It's chronological, yes. Yeah. It's from the day I was transferred, when I actually walk into the station house and the desk officer tells me you've been transferred, right up until the time, and I won't give away the end, right up until the time I decide if the movies will still be seductive to me, or the celebrities. Do I continue this high anxiety life of trying to capture pictures, or, do I move on? And which would ultimately be my decision. And the book has a lot of photos in it, but really, basically, anyone that stops a celebrity on the street more than likely will get a photo with the celebrity.
Right.
So the book is not really about the photos. Yeah. It's about the anxiety to get them, the nervousness of asking a celebrity, especially if I idolize them. So here I am, a man in uniform, and I'm feeling nervous about asking another human being for a photo, a celebrity.
Yeah, I have friends when we go to the theater that they like to stand outside the stage door and wait, and they want an autograph. And I have a hard time with that, because I feel like these people, they work for a living. They just did probably 2 shows today or whatever. They're probably tired, and I guess some of them think that it's great, and others are annoyed by it. But I'm very shy about that. I would have a hard time with that.
Yeah, and I've had people tell me, if I was in your shoes, I would have haunted these people and got autographs, photos.
And you would have been transferred.
And there were guys I knew that did that, but once I got the photo, I was very reluctant to now ask for the autograph. And like I said, a big part of the book, in my opinion, was the failure to capitalize on many of the situations I had. I could have really probably gotten many more photos, better photos, but I just, like you said, I felt uncomfortable bothering.
Now, have you sent this book to those people, to those celebrities?
Would that be stalking?
No, no.
I have sent the book out, quite frankly, to the Actors Studio in New York, where Al Pacino was on the board.
Yeah,
Tribeca Studios, where Robert De Niro is the head. I sent the book to Gay Talese, who was a fabulous New York writer. Right. And the reason I sent it to him, because I once saw him read at Queens College, and he said not enough Italian Americans are writers. You know who I would approach? I would approach Pete Hamill. Pete Hamill is, he's like the ultimate New York columnist. He used to write for the Daily News, and he now writes novels. I've read a couple of his novels. They're wonderful. And I actually sent one to Cindy Adams. There you go. But he's a writer, and you could solicit him for advice about marketing. But these are all, you are really in the middle of all of these celebrities and famous people. I would have no compunction of just, sending them a book, because they're not going to open the package. Their secretary is going to open the package. So you have to think about something eye-catching to say. I was the officer when you filmed blah, 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 and Well, I put little notes. Yeah. I was on Godfather 3, or, Gay Talese. I know you love New York stories. And I do believe that this is a New York story. It is a New York story, absolutely. And I call the merging of the police department and the movies is really the greatest show on earth, because as a cop, separate from being in the movies, you see things that nobody else is going to see. I know. And then being in the middle of movies, you're in a place where nobody else is going to be and will love to be. So to merge the two, I was pretty fortunate, Yeah. What you have to do, I think, is, and it's the same for my books. My books are young adult mystery stories. It's finding that sentence that you write that is going to appeal to that person you send the book to, where they see an angle where they can capitalize on it. And the whole deal, as far as I can see, is making money. Yeah. You have to appeal to somebody's sense of, making money. Well, it's that old saying, if you throw something against a wall, hopefully sooner or later it will stick. And I also think that the misconception about writing, because I have friends that say, you must be making money. And they really don't know, because we don't do it for the money, we really don't, because there's no illusions. We would like to catch fire, but when people actually say to me, you must be making money, I'm stunned by that.
You don't know what to say to them. You don't want to say to them. You don't want to burst their bubble. You don't. First of all, you don't want to look like you're not successful. So you don't say, "No, I'm not making any money."
No, exactly
and then
right.
you don't want to lie either. But I don't know. Is the book as successful as you would like it to be?
No, it's not, to be totally honest. Yeah. Only because the amount of writers groups, the amount of police organizations I belong to, I had a goal in mind, and it was a realistic goal. And, you know, with the new generation of websites and Facebook, so, I mean, it's out there in thousands and thousands of people, I'm sure, have spotted it. So in that regard, it's hard to say it's successful as you would like it to be.
I feel the same way. Hundreds of people have bought my books, and I get very nice reviews about them, but it hasn't hit the way I'd like. I'd like to see it be more successful, more famous than it is, and I'm sure you'd feel the same way.
Absolutely.
All right. Suppose I came to you and I said, I want to write a book. What would your advice to me be?
My advice would be, as many writers advise, is to read, write, as you well know, and then just send out the queries 1,000 times if need be, and you will get 1,000 rejections.
Now, you're self-published, right?
Yes. What happened was originally I was accepted by a small press, which there are many out there too. You can find in Writer's Digest. And there was a glitch with the contract, something with the e-book, and they didn't come through with that. So the contract was null. And now I had the template. I designed the cover.
The cover's great.
And so I took the cover and the template, and I uploaded its CreateSpace, which is a branch of Amazon.com.
Yeah.
They immediately put it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. In that particular instance, the cost was little, because if you have them design the template and the cover, it runs into more money.
So my advice to you now, because I'm going to do the same thing, because we're going to wind up now, is it's published. Now send out the query letters.
Yes, someone advised that to me, actually. They said, even though it's published, it's self-published, you do have the right to still send out the query to publishing houses.
This was so much fun.
Oh, thank you so much, Linda.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
And I hope that, you know, when you get this DVD and it's on, I put it on YouTube.
Okay.
And then when it's on YouTube, I'll send you an email, and you just have to go on YouTube, click on your tape, and underneath it says share. Click on share, and it'll, the code will come up. Just paste it into your Facebook.
Excellent.